I shot the video you're about to see last weekend and things didn't go quite to plan. But nevertheless, here it is. I hope you enjoy it. I am a fraud. You see, one of my favourite pieces of advice is for people to slow down when taking their landscape photographs, to take their time when working their compositions, and to consider things like subject, story and light, etc. But as you all saw last week, I was guilty of spraying and praying, of taking multiple compositions in a relatively short space of time, and as a result my photography suffered. Instead of coming away with 1 or 2 excellent photographs, I ended up with 8 pretty average shots. So this week I'm going to do the exact opposite. This week I'm going to limit myself to 1 exposure, so that means there'll be no spraying and praying, there'll be no bracketing and no selfie. By limiting myself to 1 exposure, I hope to focus much more on what I'm doing, and it should give me the opportunity to share with you in some detail the process that I go through every time I take a photograph.
When you came over, my heart was on its way out. I wasn't sober, and I was thinking out loud. I spoke of your bravery, your wit and audacity, of coming over and letting go of it all. Please move close to me. You love differently, so move close to me. Love me different.
The first thing that I try to do is to identify the subject of my photo by asking myself the question, what am I taking a photograph of? I think my most successful photographs have an obvious primary subject that acts as the main focal point of the image. Having identified the subject, I then ask myself the question, what story am I trying to tell? For me, it helps to think of the main subject as the protagonist in the story and the surrounding landscape and weather conditions as the situation. It's then just a case of figuring out how the subject and its surroundings combine to tell a story. Understanding how the subject and its surroundings combine to tell a story is my starting point for any composition. It helps me to understand what to include in the photograph and where to position the main elements. It's only once I have a clear idea of my composition that I set up my camera. I give careful consideration to where to position my camera, how high to set my tripod, and the focal length that I want to use. It's also at this point that I start to think about some of the more technical aspects of photography. So focusing manually, setting my aperture and shutter speed, and thinking about what kind of filters I want to use. We all know how important light is to a landscape photograph, but often, particularly when photographing at sunrise and sunset, we have to pre-visualise how the light is going to affect the scene. Then once we know what sort of light we're after, it's simply a case of waiting. Often, we may want to tweak our composition as the light develops.
Yeah, I got feelings, but I'm a tough one sometimes. Please move close to me.
So for the photograph that I'm going for today, my main subject is going to be this derelict barn here. The story that I'm going for is about the bleakness of this location, and the composition I want to include as much of rough crag as I possibly can. So let's get the camera set up and take the shot.
Differently, please move close to me. You love differently, so move close to me. Love me differently, differently.
So there you go. As you can see, conditions are not the best for photography, but let me know if any of those tips were useful and what you thought of the one exposure that I did take by leaving a comment below. A couple of days before shooting that video, I hit a bit of a YouTube milestone because I ticked over 2,000 subscribers. Now, I don't usually set myself subscriber-based goals. Back in the days when my channel was just starting, I did set myself the goal of getting to 100 subscribers, and that took me 17 videos to reach that mark. And when I got there, it left me with a bit of a hollow feeling, and nothing in my life had changed. And when I look back at the highlights of my channel, it hasn't been hitting 100 subscribers or 500 subscribers or even 1,000 subscribers. My highlights have been meeting fellow YouTube photographers Andy Maguire, Julian Baird and James Burns. You see, about 3 or 4 months ago, when I had just a couple of hundred subscribers, the only people that really watched my videos on a regular basis were my fellow YouTube photographers. And I could have given up at any point, but the support that they gave me kept me going. So I decided that I am going to mark this milestone, and I'm going to dedicate this video to the 10 vloggers that supported my channel from the early days and have got me to this point. And so now, here are my favourite Instagram photos from 9 of them.
So go ahead and leave it. I don't know what's on your mind, and there's no way I can fix it. But you're also leaving me behind. Just a few more hours, you'll be on your way, like dancing on a wire. Oh, how I try to make you stay. Won't you stay? Won't you stay? Or won't you stay? Won't you stay? Tell me all your secrets, 'cause I already forgot. I need to be stronger for my weakness.
So you'll notice that I said 9 other vloggers. So what happened to the 10th? Well, that's why I'm here today, because I'm here to meet my first ever proper subscriber that wasn't either my mum or my wife. And I want to say a big thank you to him in a video that I've wanted to make for a very, very long time. But you're going to have to wait until next week to see that, so remember to tune in then. 2000 is a big number, but it's not as important a number to me as the number 10. This channel started out as a landscape photography channel, but I think it's evolving. Landscape photography will always be at its core, but more and more I think it's about friendship. Thanks ever so much for watching, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next week.
Won't you stay? Won't you stay? Time races on, but I guess that we're not. A special bond, we came closer than we forgot. Yeah, we forgot. Won't you stay?